Article 246 of the Revised Penal Code is parricide. Take note of the spelling ha, double R, dalawang letter R. So we are now in Title 8, that is crimes against persons. So let's go to the elements. Number 1, a person is killed. Number 2, the deceased is killed by the accused. But who is this deceased? The deceased is either the father, the mother, the child, and the relationship could either be legitimate or illegitimate. But for the next enumerations, the relationship must be legitimate. So who are these legitimate? Other ascendant, other descendant, and the spouse. And these people enumerated are related to the accused. So if you will be asked, just like what happened in 1999, who may be guilty of the crime of parricide, then you know now how to answer. So for application, let's read this 2015 bar exam question. Procopio is a call center agent, so he went home earlier than usual. He proceeded immediately to their bedroom to change his clothes, but to his surprise, he found his wife in bed making love to another woman. So enraged, Procopio grabbed a knife nearby and stabbed his wife, who died. So question, what crime did Procopio commit? Answer is parricide, kasi pinatay niya ang kanyang asawa. But take note that ang answer dito is dapat i-relate mo sa Article 247. But when we go to Article 247, babalikan natin tong question na to. For now, please know that the crime committed is parricide. Number 2, assuming that Procopio and Bianchi were common law spouses, will your answer be the same? Answer is no. The crime committed now would be homicide if Procopio and Bianchi were common law spouses. Because what is the reason? Parricide contemplates killing by spouse who are legally married. Another bar exam question, 1994, number 7. Aldrich here was tinanggal sa trabaho. Upon reaching home, his pregnant wife, Carmi, nagged him about money for her medicines. Depressed by his dismissal and angered by the nagging of his wife, Aldrich struck Carmi with his fist. So Carmi fell to the ground. As a result, she and her unborn baby died. Question, what crime was committed by Aldrich? Answer is complex crime, parricide with unintentional abortion. Bakit naging complex crime? Let's go to the discussion para maintindihan nyo. When Aldrich struck his wife with his fist, ano ang nakomit ni Aldrich? At that point, maltreatment pa lang. That is under Article 266, paragraph 3. But because Carmi, the wife, died, and the reason why the wife died is because of that felonious act of Aldrich, therefore, kailangan pumasok si Article 4. What is Article 4? You would be liable for the consequences of the felonious act. You would be liable for the result of your felonious act. And how about the baby? Since the unborn baby also died in the process, but Aldrich had no intention to cause that abortion, therefore Aldrich is only liable for unintentional abortion as defined in Article 257. And ano ang sinasabi ng Article 48? If there is a single act such as the act of Aldrich striking his wife with his fist, and that single act produced two grave or less grave felonies, then that is a complex crime. This is the reason why Aldrich is liable of parricide with unintentional abortion. 2003 bar exam question. Here is B. B is the husband at nagagalit siya sa ugali ng kanyang asawa, si A. So, B could not help but inflict physical injuries on A. Moments after B started hitting A with his fist, A suddenly complained of severe chest pains. So B, nung na-realize niya that A was indeed in serious trouble, he immediately brought her to the hospital. But what happened to the wife? She died of heart attack. It turned out that she had been suffering from a heart ailment. So question, what crime, if any, could the husband or be held guilty of? Answer is parricide. Bakit parricide? Basahin natin yung discussion kasi malalaman natin kung bakit naging parricide yung sagot. So first, pasok mo si Article 4. Ano ang sinasabi ni Article 4? You are liable for the results or consequences of your felonious act. A person committing a felonious act incurs criminal liability, although the wrongful consequence is different from what he intended. Although the A here, the wife, died of heart attack, the said attack was generated by the husband's felonious act of hitting her with his fist. And even though B may have acted without intent to kill his wife, but that lack of intention does not matter anymore if the victim dies. Next, but B, in this case, the husband may be given that mitigating circumstance, that is according to Article 13. Ano yung mitigating circumstance? Having acted without intention to commit so grave a wrong as that committed. 1978 bar exam question, Juana was charged with parricide. Nilason niya ang kanyang mister. The act of poisoning was proven beyond reasonable doubt. But the prosecution, they failed to present the marriage certificate of Juana and her alleged husband. But despite that failure of the prosecution, ano ang ginawa ng judge? The trial judge rendered a judgment of conviction. Of course, itong si Juana is nag-appeal. Ang appeal niya is based on the ground that why am I convicted of parricide even if my marriage was not proven? So, decide with reasons. The appeal of Juana on the ground that the marriage was not proven is meritorious. Meritorious yan. Bakit? Because what is the best proof of marriage? The best proof of marriage always is the marriage certificate. But can you prove marriage outside of the marriage certificate? Pwede naman. Pwede ang oral evidence, yung testimonies ng mga taong nag-attend or naka-witness ng marriage ceremony or ng solemnizing officer. But make sure that it is not objected to. Bar exam question 1997, A here is a young housewife. Meron siyang kalaguyo si B. So, A and B conspired to kill C. Sino ba itong si C? C is the husband of A to whom she was lawfully married. So, A and B bought pansit at nilagyan nila ng lason. A gave the food with poison to C, but before makakain si C, D, the illegitimate father of A, and E, her legitimate son, arrived. So C, D, and E shared the food in the presence of A, who merely watched them eating. As a result, namatay itong si C, D, and E because of that poisoned food. Question, what crime or crimes did A and B commit? Let's go first to A, the young housewife. So, sino ang mga napatay ni A because of that poisoned pansit? C, the lawful husband. D, the illegitimate father of A. And E, her legitimate son. So, dito sa tatlong ito, A is liable for multiple parricide. Bakit multiple parricide? Because that is your Article 246. Kung ang napatay mo or kung ang pinatay mo is your father, mother, or child, hindi nagmamatter if the relationship is legitimate or illegitimate. But how about if kung napatay mo is your husband or wife, then nagmamatter ang relationship. The relationship must be legitimate. Let's go now to B. Ano ang relationship ni B kay C? Wala. Therefore, B is liable of murder. He is liable of murder. Bakit murder? Because the killing was carried out by means of poison. So, na-qualify siya into murder. How about kay D, the illegitimate father, and E, the legitimate son of A? Ano ang relationship ni B? Wala din. So, therefore, he is only liable of homicide. Bakit homicide? Hindi murder. Because at sino talaga ang gusto nilang patayin? Ang gusto lang talaga nilang patayin is si the lawful husband. Hindi kasama sa plano si D and E. That is the reason why B is only liable of homicide. But take note, 2 counts of homicide. 1999 bar exam question. A here killed a woman with whom he lived without benefit of clergy. Question. What crime or crimes is committed? Answer is homicide. Kung merong qualifying circumstance, then it becomes murder. Take note that hindi parricide. Bakit hindi parricide? Because Article 246 is very clear. For you to be convicted of parricide, dapat ang mapatay mo is your lawful husband or your lawful wife. Second, A killed their daughter. What crime or crimes is committed? Answer is parricide. Ano ang sinabi natin? Kung ang napatay mo is your father, mother, or child, it does not matter whether your relationship is legitimate or illegitimate. But take note that if it is a child, if it is the child who is the napatay, then that child must not be less than 3 days old at the time of killing. Otherwise, that would be infanticide. Number 3. A killed their adopted son. What crime or crimes is committed? Answer is murder. Bakit murder at hindi parricide? Because in parricide, in order for it to arise, the relationship between A and the said son must be by blood. 1982 bar exam question. A here is a prominent and high official. He had an illicit relationship with B. B is a girl that is very much below his social standing. A child was born to them as a result thereof. A killed the child so as to conceal his dishonor, but the child is over 3 days old. Question number 1. What crime did A commit? Answer is parricide. Ano ang sinasabi ni Article 246? Very clear. If you are going to kill your father, mother, or child, it does not matter whether your relationship is legitimate or illegitimate. Question number 2. Does relationship in this case constitute a privileged mitigating circumstance? Answer is no, because relationship in parricide is inherent. Question number 3. How would you answer the questions A and B if the child were less than 3 days old? If the child is less than 3 days old, then hindi parricide. Ang sagot is infanticide. How about the question of relationship? Is it a privileged mitigating circumstance? Since ang pumatay is the tatay, then it is not a privileged mitigating circumstance. Under Article 255, it becomes a privileged mitigating circumstance only if the offender is the mother and the reason why she killed her child is to conceal her dishonor. Another bar exam question, 1996. In 1975, itong si Pedro, who was still a resident of Manila then, abandoned his wife and their son, Ricky. Ricky was only 3 years old at the time. 20 years later, nagkaroon ng gulo sa bar sa Olongapo City. Ang gulo is between Pedro at sa kanyang mga kasamahan and Ricky and his friends without the father and son knowing each other. Ricky stabbed and killed Pedro in the fight only to find out a week after nung dumating na yung kanyang nanay para bisitahin siya that the man whom he killed was his own father. Question number 1. What crime did Ricky commit? Answer is parricide. Very clear, si Article 246, hindi niya sinasabi nun, or Article 46 does not require the crime be knowingly committed. But pwedeng pumasok si Article 49. Ano ba yung Article 49? That the accused would only be liable for the crime he intended to commit but in its maximum period. Question number 2. Suppose Ricky knew before the killing that Pedro is his father, but still he killed him out of his bitterness for having abandoned him and his mother. What crime did Ricky commit? Answer is still parricide. But that having acted out of bitterness for having been abandoned by his father may be considered mitigating. Let's summarize our discussion. Number 1, relationship of the offender with the victim is the essential element of parricide. So if you will be confronted with a bar question, ask yourself, what is the relationship of the victim to the accused? Number 2, kung ang napatay or yung pinatay is anak, the relationship, whether legitimate or illegitimate, does not matter. But take note that the child should not be less than 3 days old. Bakit? Because in that case, ang crime na nakomit na is infanticide. How about kung ang pinatay is or namatay is the spouse? That spouse must be the lawful husband or the lawful wife. And that relationship must be alleged in the information filed in the court. Is there such a thing as parricide by mistake? Ano ang ibig sabihin natin dyan? If there is a person who wanted to kill a stranger, but by mistake he killed his own father, will it be parricide? Answer is still yes. Yes. But ipapasok mo ngayon si Article 49. Article 49 as regards the proper penalty to be imposed. Ano ba yung Article 49? You will be penalized according to the crime that you intended to commit but in its maximum period. Another example of parricide by mistake is if there is this person who want to kill another but not knowing that the latter was his son, will he be guilty of parricide? Answer is still yes, because the law does not require knowledge of relationship between them. What is the liability of a stranger cooperating in parricide? A stranger who cooperates and takes part in the commission of the crime of parricide is not guilty of parricide because, again, what did we say? Relationship of the offender with the victim is the essential element of parricide. But that stranger may be liable of homicide or murder as the case may be.